Well, here it is late May. I thought it would be time to share another garden update with you and let you see how the garden's coming. Look at this lettuce. The last time you saw this lettuce, I was thinning it, and you can see how well it has done and responded to that. In fact, when you saw it, I was thinning with a rake. That did not thin as much as I needed, so I actually had to come back and thin again. What had happened, it grew about this high and was completely covered up as far as just very thick and was not growing very well. So I took a hoe and made 3 rows right down the middle, just scraping out dirt and lettuce as I went. Then, as you see, it just filled back in and has actually done wonderful ever since. We've eaten a lot of this lettuce. Very good taste to it. What you're looking at here is salad bowl. Back here, the redder variety is red cells. I will actually cut a little of each and blend it to make my own mesclun blend. The cool weather here in Georgia, we've been lucky to have this spring. A lot of cool weather and a lot of rain, very unusual for Georgia. However, the lettuce has responded quite well to it. Well, here are 2 of my traditional tomatoes I planted. Traditionally plant them in tomato cages. These were just set out without any type of protection, set out at a later date. And they seem to be doing pretty well. I can actually tell the height of this one. This was about 3.5 feet tall. I do not have to measure that. Since I am using concrete reinforcing wire as my tomato cages, I know the gaps are 6 inches, so 2 is 1 foot. And I can see this is 3 feet and this is a 3.5 foot mark. Therefore, I can easily tell that this is about a 3.5 foot tomato. Seems to be doing well. Have some small tomatoes on this already, so I'm very pleased with this. I expect probably have ripe tomatoes on this plant around July 4th. That is my traditional date I shoot toward. I expect no different from this one. I expect it to actually reach that pretty easily. But let's take a look at the tomatoes I started a little earlier under protection to see how well they're doing. You saw these earlier, if you've seen some of my earlier videos where I had the plastic tunnel which I was growing the tomatoes on. I'll show you what they look like now at the end of May. Well, here we are at the tomatoes that were under the tunnel, the plastic tunnel protection. These are the 2 that were more in the center and they are doing the best. The ones on the end are still ahead of the other ones, but not as well as these. Here is my 4-foot marker on this tomato cage. You can see that this tomato is a little over 4 feet. So it has got probably 6 inches or so on the tomatoes started traditionally. But more importantly, it has much more developed fruit. So the fruit is much bigger on this one. I expect to harvest it even sooner than the other one. So I'm anxious to see exactly how soon I can harvest this fruit. This year I am doing a tomato experiment. Rather than growing a couple of tomatoes the traditional way in the cages, I'm actually growing 4 tomato plants between 2 metal posts and some string. Now, I've seen this done on a large-scale production area, so I was anxious to see if this would actually work in the home garden. A couple problems I've had so far is keeping proper tension on the string. This is just a biodegradable string, and it seems to get very slack as the time goes. In fact, I've had a couple of strings break. I think I will help this problem, or help solve this problem, hopefully, by gathering the 2 strings together, and I'm thinking maybe tying them together like that. That may help keep the tension on it and do a little better. We'll see. This is just an experiment just to see how it does. I would like to do something other than the cages. The one thing I don't like about the cages is it's hard to cultivate near the bottom. Again, though, I solved that by mulching. Still, I'm looking for that perfect way to grow a tomato. These tomatoes do, however, have good fruit, so I can't complain. Well, here we are in the onion bed. It's actually doing pretty well. I can't complain. Onions are developing nicely. You can see a lot of the bulbs are forming very nicely. It does have a bit of weeds in the bed that I probably should do a better job pulling out. Some of the weeds I don't mind. I actually have a volunteer basil growing from last year's basil bed that was here. Apparently has self-sown. But the rest of it seems to be doing develop. I really probably won't worry about the weeds too much at this stage, just because you can see the nice development we have on the onions. They're far above any weed competition. At this level, the weeds probably won't hurt them near as bad as when you're first starting to grow the onions. Then the competition is really fierce. Here's my potato bed. I'm growing a variety I've never grown this year. This is Purple Viking. In fact, there's a funny story with this. When I received my seed potatoes from the mail order company, came in a little bag, it said Purple Viking. My son is a Minnesota Vikings fan, Adrian Peterson, huge fan. So Minnesota Vikings football team's colors are purple. So when he said Purple Vikings, he thought it was something related to football and was quite disappointed to open it up and see seed potatoes. Nonetheless, I don't think I will be disappointed. The potato is actually a purple color, so I'm anxious to grow it and taste it and see how it's doing. Potatoes doing very well. You've seen me mulch them a couple of times. They probably have about 6 inches of mulch pulled around them. It wouldn't hurt to mulch them again. I might try to do that before I head out. I'm traveling today. I do see a little damage from something eating on the potato plants. I'm not really going to worry about that. It's very surface damage. I don't see a whole lot of it. I'm not going to grab something to spray. This kind of damage I can handle. In fact, I mean, it's just very small bites at that. I did see a potato beetle early in the season, which I readily squashed. But I haven't seen any since, so I'm nothing to be concerned about. They seem to be doing healthy, and hopefully we'll be harvesting them in a few months. Look at this garlic, would you? It's coming along very nicely. You can see the bulbs are developing into very nice bulbs. Can't wait to try this. Again, I'm growing 2 varieties here. This particular one is the Toklivari, an heirloom variety. The other variety I'm growing is a Siberian. The Toklivari, you can tell, has this purplish skin. It's beautiful garlic. Tastes fantastic as well.